Guys, what's up? What's going on out there today? It's Brent Abel here. Brent Maxwell Abel Jr., by the way. Yeah, another episode of whatever we're working on today. It's your BPR reality. We're going to get into the BPR. Most of you know what that is. If you don't, there's a real big reason that I've got for you today why we need to, number one, have a BPR, and number two, practice it like a crazy man. Because when you do, good things happen. Good things happen in the next upcoming point. So, look, today's title is Stress and Then Recovery Equals Clarity. And this kind of reminded me of I'm rereading this book by Josh Waitzkin, The Art of Learning. I've gone through it a couple times. I've rereading notes, and it just seems to me that every time I reread a book, I'm always finding something in there where I'm going, how did I miss this? And this kind of happened last night where uh, going over it again, and he talks about this thing about how in athletic competition, and even with him as a chess master, where there'd be stress, and then there'd be periods of time between his next move. And I'm bringing this up in the context of tennis, which is, and by the way, the guys are out there just hammering away at something. So there's some background stuff. My apologies. But in the context of tennis, right? We play points and then we have this between points time, or we have this side change time. And in reality, on average, the points that we play in a match, only about 20% of the time when we're on the court. 80% on average is spent either between points, and on side changes. And so playing points, whether you're in the so-called zone or you're just playing out of your mind, there's still a little level of stress there. And sometimes there's a lot of stress. And uh, what Josh Waitzkin got way back in the day from the great Jim Lohr, uh, the same guy that I got my between points routine from, a 4 parts between points routine. And by the way, if you've not yet checked it out, down below in the description area, there's a link that will take you over to webtennis.com. You can drop in a first name, email address, and get free access to a 9-minute video that describes my specific 4 parts between points routine. And really, the best part, and I hadn't really thought about it in the way that Josh Waitzkin describes it, is that the between points time really is the time when we want to recover from what just happened in the last point, from the stress of the last point. Look, you may have just hit the greatest running up the line forehand of all time, right? And you've just elevated, the come on baby stuff. That still creates a level of stress. Just like when you've got the guy falling down in the alley over there and he's bunted, just floated up a little dying duck to you, and you got the whole court to, just bunt this thing into, and we miss it, right? And then you go down in the depths of, oh my God, woe is me, right? So there's always some level of stress at the end of the point, and if you manage the between points time correctly, that's when you recover both mentally and physically. Look, in fact, the second part of my between points routine is physical recovery. You might have just played a long point, right? Maybe an unusual, on average, the points are what, 3, 4 shots at the most. Um, the data says, about 70% on average, four shots or less. But let's say you play a point that's got 8, 9, 10 shots in it, right? Well, part of the between points routine for me is number two, which is physical recovery. And the whole rest of the time is about mental recovery as well. Just kind of clearing out all the stress and making sure that you've now created some clarity for the next upcoming point. And the clarity is, how do you want to start the next point? Well, that's easy when you're serving, right? You've now got some data of what this guy's good at in terms of returning serve. Maybe he's not, maybe he's average at something, or maybe he's weak at something. Now you've got some clarity in terms of how do you want to start the next point. You can never, ever say to yourself, well, it's 40-30, it's 40-34 all in the third set, and I'm going to serve over here so that I win the point. You can't control the outcome of the point. You can't control that the guy goes over there off the 40-30, and you bounce that thing way out wide and he chunks it off the frame and it dribbles off the net for a let cord winner. You can't control that. So the best you can do is get clarity in terms of how do you want to start the next point, and from there, whatever comes back, you'll just take it from there, right? Same thing with return to serve. Return to serve, you're not in total control because you can't tell the guy, hey, you can only serve to my forehand. I mean, he might serve to the forehand, could go to your body, could go to your backhand, whatever. But at least you've got an idea based on the data in the match so far of what to be looking for, right? And that's how I think about how do I want to start the next point when I'm returning serve. Excuse me. So um, all this gets back to the between points routine, why we need to have one, why you need to have your own unique between points routine. Again, if you haven't yet picked up the one, this free video I've got that describes exactly what I do, there's a link right down below. Go ahead and click it and just drop in that first name, email address, and you will be all set to go. Um, it's so vital. It's just really, really important. So stress and then recovery, right, equals clarity. And when you have clarity about how you want to start the next point, man, I'm telling you, you start to play at the top of your skill level over and over and over again. And another topic is skill level range, which um, I will reserve for another day. But if you've been with me at any time, what we're trying to do is keep as small a skill level range as possible, as narrow, right? Where some points you play just unbelievable, right? And the next point, not so much, right? The whole thing here is we're trying to, with this between points routine, bring the bottom where it's not so much, bring it up so that we're consistently playing at the very top of our skill level over and over and over again. And this formula right here, stress during the point and then recovery equals clarity. Guys, look, hope this has been helpful. I want to know from you down below what's on your mind. Any comments, any questions, remarks, feedback? Let me know. As you know, I love to read your stuff. I love to respond to it. Might take me a day or two or three, but I promise to get to you. And yeah, if you've not yet picked up my free video on mental toughness, starts right between points. Well, actually, it gets built off the court first, and this video right here is the place to start. Off the court is getting a hold of this free video. There's the link down below that you can get started, and there you have it. So, guys, yeah, hope this is helpful. Let me know what's on your mind, and as always, it's time. We got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a great day. Guys, I'm going to see you again next time.